This is Andy Purell for Boxing Social, and I'm delighted to be joined by Frankie Gavin. Frankie, Happy New Year, first and foremost. I hope you had a good Christmas as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and yeah, Happy New Year to you too. I had a good Christmas, a bit too good. Yeah, I've just had a complete break since my last fight, so I put a bit of weight on. I weren't sure what I was going to do, but I've decided I'm definitely going to fight again.
So you've obviously just mentioned you're going to fight again. What's prompted that decision, obviously coming on the back of that Lejarraga loss in Spain?
The camp with Lejarraga in the end turned into it weren't great, but the beginning of it, with me and Malcolm getting everything right all together, then at the end it just turned a bit sour and it just weren't working too well for me. So in the end, me and Malcolm obviously parted ways, which was a downer on the camp. And then the journey, and that all 3 delayed boat journeys, and I was on one for 36 hours, didn't get to train 3 days before the fight. And on the Thursday, I didn't feel well at all. I was threw up a few times, so it was a miracle really that I still boxed really.
What were the issues with obviously your camp and your training? Obviously, I found out a couple of days prior to that Malcolm wasn't able to go over with you because I went to see Jason Wellborn just before he flew out, and Errol was obviously telling me from BCB that what the situation that happened. So what was going on with yourself and Malcolm as to why you had to separate?
Just a few disagreements on some things, and Malcolm decided he weren't in his best interest to come out with me, and I respect his decision. I'm friends with Malcolm, we're family friends for years, so we made an agreement, a decision, and then I still wanted to go out and fight, so I did.
Now, obviously for Lejarraga, when the weights were announced, you was close to £5 over that. You got a lot of stick over social media for that, and I'm sure you'd have seen it. What did you make of it, and why was there such a big difference between the 147 limit and then obviously the 1.7 or something like you're coming at?
It's just like I said, I didn't train 4 days before the fight, and normally I like to lose most of my weight on the last week. Just try and get 7-8 pounds off the last week, and then I weren't feeling too good. We were on the boat, we went to train on the boat, and it was just moving everywhere. It wouldn't have been safe to train. And then when I got there, I weren't well, throwing up, so we spoke to him. I said to him, I'll take the fight. But at one point, I wasn't even going to go ahead with the fight. I didn't feel great, obviously, with the mishaps of the camp and that. But I took the fight. I went out there and done my best. In my eyes, I was clearly winning the first 3 rounds comfortably. Didn't feel one bit in danger at all. But look, as we could see with the Skeete fight and most of the other fights, he was a big puncher. And I found that out. So it's one of them. Technically, I think I'm up there with the best in the world still. But I've got to get everything right in the gym, in the camp, the diet, everything. If I want to mix it anywhere better, but like I said, nothing went right, never went the way it should have went, so I've got to prove it again.
Yeah, we'll pick that back up. One thing that I did see over social media was you did get a lot of praise for your first 3 rounds, and people did see you winning the fight. Was you surprised by Lejarraga from any technical aspects? Obviously, we knew he had power because of Skeete, like you mentioned. Did he surprise you in any technical way?
He wasn't as good as I thought he'd be technically. But listen, I can't take nothing away from him. He beat me, which is fair, do you know what I mean? But technically, I thought I was leagues above. But one thing for sure, he could whack with both hands. He could really punch. But like I said, I think I trained to have a tear up really, which was not the way really I should have trained. And before the fight, when I started moving, I felt good in there. But at the same time, if I would have stayed close and stayed tighter, it could have been a different outcome for me as well. But at the end of the day, he beat me, so there's nothing to say. I don't think he's going to be up there with the Crawfords and the Brooks, and I don't think he's that sort of level. But he can punch it very much as hard as Brook did, if not harder.
It's surprising that you say that you was training for a tear-up, because obviously everybody knows that when you have boxed, you try to box your opponents. And what prompted you to decide to fight like that?
We were just training inside because we knew we were going to get close at times. And if you watch my fight, a lot of times I sit on the ropes. So we wanted to work on the defence, staying off the ropes. And to be fair, I did stay off the ropes until I got caught at the end. But I could have maybe done things a little bit different going into the camp. Maybe took it a bit differently, the tactics. But it is what it is. I got beaten, now I'll move on from there.
So where do you move to in terms of your weight? Will you stick to 147? You're going to move up to light middleweight or super welterweight?
I'll stick to 147. Get off at something like middle, I'll take it. Don't get me wrong, but 147's where I've got to be. But I've got to obviously prove that I can make it. Still, I made it for a few years, so I've got to 148 last year. So, but I don't that comfortable with the fight. I didn't really struggle with that. So it is there. I'm definitely a welterweight in size. So if I get the right notice, I'll make it. and I'll fight anyone in Britain. I've agreed to fight Josh Kelly before, but he pulled out last minute. He didn't pull out. I took the deal and never heard nothing, so it never got accepted, obviously. And I think we showed why he should have stepped up the other week, and he didn't take the fight over 2 rounds. They wanted a 10 round instead of a 12, so he pulled out. It's pathetic, really. If you believe in yourself that much, he's like a professional fighter, and all he does is train, so there shouldn't be no issues over the rounds. He only dedicates himself to boxing, so there shouldn't have been no problem with that. So he should have fought the Russian, I think, but he reckons he's going to fight him next, so I'm not going to get that fight. But I'll fight Johnny Garton tomorrow. I think I'd beat him comfortably. There's a reason I think they always kept him back when Skeete was there, because Skeete was better than him, and I proved before that I'm better than Skeete. Then when we fought the same opponent, he got absolutely demolished, didn't win a round, didn't win a second of the fight, even got wobbled off a jab, and then I beat the guy comfortably and then showed him Skeete's last fight. I don't know what he has to retire, or he has to go up a weight, in my opinion. So if he's not the weight what's done him, then there's nothing left.
These are obviously all fights that I want to come on to, but just want to stick to yourself for now. I've had a lot of people tell me that you could have made 140 at lower weight, you could have made super lightweight, you could have made 147 comfortably, and you could have made 154 comfortably, depending on what you wanted to do with your career. But away from the ring, maybe you haven't lived the life. Has that been the case with you? Have you found yourself maybe not doing the things that the guys who do reach the elite level, who do win the world titles, do pursue with their career? They'll stay in camp a little bit longer, they'll eat right when they're not fighting. Is that the lifestyle which you haven't lived, and which has basically just not allowed you to achieve what you possibly could have done in the sport to date?
Yeah, I think 140 would have been possible, but I don't think I would have performed at it. I reckon it would have killed me to get down there. Yeah, I've put weight on when I shouldn't have out of camp, and that sometimes I've been my own worst enemy, really. I think the things I put myself through as an amateur, I used to starve a lot of the time. I could be that scared of dying. I wouldn't even brush my teeth some mornings. I think I put weight on. I'd be like, and I put myself through that much as an amateur. I think when I first went pro, I was dying well then, and then I think I just couldn't do it anymore. I think I might have sacrificed too much as an amateur then. As a pro, I wasn't prepared to. I don't know really, but the things I've done as an amateur, sometimes I wouldn't even have a sip of water in training. I used to do 12 round sparring, wouldn't drink. I was that like worried of putting weight on. And I think maybe that backfired as a pro. Obviously, when I'm in the ring, I never give up. I'll always try my best, but maybe I could have done a few things different. Well, I could have done a few things differently.
What's been the biggest issues that you've found with maybe your personal life? Did you maybe get mixed in with the wrong crowd? I know that I've spoken to other boxers that when they turn over from amateurs to professionals, you have a lot of people who will try and jump on the bandwagon, try and get involved with you, and because they know that what you could live and the lifestyle you could lead, they want to be around that. Did you find yourself in those circles?
Now, my friends, I've got friends, like some of them are well behaved, but my real friends wouldn't ever bring me down that path. So I can't put it on anyone I meet. Obviously, when I was winning, I had thousands around me, hundreds of people phoning me every day. Do you want to do this? Do you want this? Do you want that? And then when you're losing, you don't hear from them again. It's mad because when I got that fight the other day for the European title, when I signed it, people were phoning me again. We're coming out, yeah. And I was thinking, I hadn't heard of you in 3 years. What are you phoning me for? Like, but I realised that then, so I wasn't even replying to them. So I knew then the people who were around, the people in around. And yeah, I can't blame them. Maybe I had a personal problem a few years back while I fought, but I'm not going to bring that up. But most people know anyway. But I think that sacrificed a lot towards me. Like, I've just changed me everything. But then all of a sudden, I'm all right now. I'm fine. I've just got to get it all right.
One thing that you just brought Spain up again, I've just thought about myself. I've heard from other people who were involved in and around Skeete's camp that when Bout was in Bilbao, they encountered a lot of problems in terms of restaurants not serving them and that. And when you're actually in the arena, the noise itself and how the fans are, it's something that you can't really describe. What was it like for you? Did you encounter any issues with anyone over there?
Listen, they're great people to work with. I'm not going to put them down in any way. Anything they asked for, I got. So, and this is what I was explaining before the fight. If you watch before the fight, and they said it's different. I know it's not the same thing, but I've been around the Blues for years, about the Villa games, and the encounters when you encounter stuff like that. And when if you watch my ring walk compared to his, we look like different people. I was enjoying it, But and I was explaining this before, and he's going, it won't be anything. You've never experienced anything like that. I've experienced loads of things like that. I think I've been at games of football worse than that. I enjoyed that ring walk, and I enjoyed it. When I went in there, everyone was shaking. When I come out, everyone was shaking my hand, saying you're better than what we thought. Just you got caught. So, and when that night we went out, I didn't drink, but we went out that night, and every club I went, because he's like famous over there, and everyone was coming up shaking my hand, saying you've done well, you tried your best, which I did. So, I didn't think nothing was wrong with the atmosphere. I thought I really enjoyed the atmosphere. I'd do it again. Just hopefully not with Kerman in the corner.
How would you compare it to, say, a British boxing atmosphere then?
Oh, it's completely different to that. There's no doubt about that. I boxed Skeete in London. I didn't feel nothing there. It is completely different to anything in England, I think. Because I think like when Martin Murray boxed in Argentina, you seen how bad it was. But I don't think it was that bad either. It was hostile, there's no doubt about it. But I enjoyed it because I'm walking through the crowd. No one's going to punch me in the crowd because then the fight couldn't happen. So that's you know what I mean. So when I've been to like Blues Villa, I think that's twice as bad, 10 times worse than that.
So where does the career of Frankie Gavin go? What do you think you could still achieve? What are your hopes or what are your ambitions still?
Well, I beat Johnny Garton now, in my opinion, hands down, and he's British champion. Then if Kerman vacates the European, then I could beat anyone there, really. Josh Kelly's up there, obviously, but I still think I've got a style what can cause him problems. And I'll take the fight tomorrow, so if fights come, they come. If they don't, as you can see, I've got my own gym. It's got a great setup here. I've got 20 plus amateurs fighting for me. I've got a professional manager's licence. I'm taking my seconds now. So there's a career in boxing for me either way.
Yeah, so we'll start off with the fighters that I want you to come on to. We'll start off with Bradley Skeete. Obviously, we spoke about it just as I got here, that I saw a tweet go out from yourself that the Skeete fight had been agreed after you fought Kerman Lejarraga, but it was obviously agreed prior to it. What was the situation with that in the end? Is that something which is still on the table? Have there been any talks since?
Well, they offered me the fight December the 8th, but they knew I was fighting the 17th, so it was a half-hearted offer. They knew I wasn't going to take it. Then I said I'll fight in February, and they said, win or lose, you can have the fight in February. So I went, sound, I'll do that. That was Jason McClory. We even agreed money and everything. And then got back. Then he had his fight December, and he got beat by that kid, unknown kid who can't punch, on paper. I think it was 17 wins, 5 knockouts going into the fight. Then he chinned him. So from chinning him now, I think it just changes everything now. I don't see the fight happening. I would take the fight because I'd like to beat him up. We don't get on. We did get on really well, but at the moment we're not getting on. So there's no reason for us not to fight. And I'm more than up for the fight if they really want it. But I'm not going to go out my way and ask for it. At the end of the day, he's well behind me now. We both boxed a Spanish kid. I've done a lot better than him. We both boxed each other. I beat him. And if he wants it, it's there. But I don't see any reason why they would want it, because it's not going to end very well for him.
Where did this rivalry between yourself and Bradley come from? Obviously, I know you fought, but was it something else? Was there a lot of back and forth between yourselves? Why is it that it's continued so long after you did fight?
The fight, he never ever offered me the fight back after that. He never wanted it again. He never even offered me the fight again, like so. But he'd always mention my names, but they didn't want the rematch. When I was flying, I was going up. Once I beat him, they never even got offered again. They didn't even want the fight. I think the manager, Andy Ailey, more or less forced them into the fight at first, because they knew I was on the verge of leaving Box Nation. But it's one of them things, isn't it? They didn't want it again, and then when they seen that I was going down a bit, and then he was winning his British and that, but then he got beat by Kerman, and now he got beat again. He's right down there now. So there's a lot more to offer from me than there is from him, because most of his wins are against nobodies who you think. And like, I beat him, I beat Fasal, they were 2 unbeaten fighters when I beat them. And beat Witter. I can't think of anyone on paper who he has beat, apart from Eggington, which was a good win. Eggington beat me, beat him, so he's going on with that. But at the end of the day, I still beat Skeete, so I hold a win over Skeete.
What did you make of Skeete's last fight then on December 15th? I've forgotten his opponent's name now. But what did you make of it? Obviously, it was a second round stoppage.
Yeah, it was nothing to make of it, really. The shot didn't even look that big what caught him, and he was gone. And then he got up and he started hugging the corner post, really. So I don't know.
What would you say the likelihood is of making that fight then?
It's down to them. They want it, get in touch. Otherwise, just don't mention my name, because I'm not really interested in you either.
And obviously another name that you mentioned earlier on was Josh Kelly. You meant the guy who was going to fight was David Avanesian. They pulled out for Josh was feeling ill on the day, the reason that we've been told. What do you make of that pull out? And obviously since we've saw tweets going out about the wanted a 10 rounder, not a 12 rounder, etc. What have you made of the entire situation?
Listen, everything building up, he didn't look one bit ill, so there weren't an illness there, in my opinion. But I think it was down to the rounds, and I think with Adam Booth, he likes to be in control. So by giving them the 12 rounds, it looked like they were giving them control of it. And I think they didn't want to give that up, so there's no money problems with them. They can turn the fight down and still get other fights. Josh Kelly's hot property at the moment, he can do more or less as he pleases. So I think they thought, you know what, we're not going to do it then, forget it. I mean, other people can say, well, why didn't they take a 10 rounder? Or maybe they thought they were going to get to him in the last 4 rounds, you don't know.
Where do you stand with yourself and Josh? Like you mentioned earlier on that you was in talks with them and that a fight was agreed, and again it never got put down on a contract as you would say. What happened with that, and is there any chance of that one coming to fruition at some point?
There's a chance of me fighting anyone who wants to fight. To make me an offer and I'll fight. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not a hard person to get hold of, and I'm not the sort of person who turns down fights. Just give me a bit of notice and a bit of fight.
So who are you guys in talks with at the minute to try and get a fight on with?
Paddy Gallagher's been calling me out, Congo's calling me out, but all it is calling me out. You never ever hear nothing more. So at the moment I'm not in talks with anyone. I'm going to go and speak to Ewa, my manager, next week, Ewa Johnson. And if I can't get enough, I'm just going to get out in March, get us a fight, and then hopefully get a big one then.
Congo obviously hot property in terms of a rising prospect, as is Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly's got a great amateur background as well. Is this a bit of a frustrating? But is this a bit of a frustrating situation for yourself in the sense of you're only getting people who you still class as maybe prospects but are calling you out instead of maybe somebody who's a bit more established in the division?
No, I'm not really bothered. Listen, I read the Congo interview. I'm not really bothered about it. Not really interested in him. He's beat 2 kids with winning records. So he's got no right to call anyone out. I think he's had a 6, maybe an 8 round. He's done nothing. Go and win a title fight, go and beat someone worth beating. But like I said, if the offer's decent enough, I'll take it. But I'm not really interested in him. Didn't really bat my eyelids when I seen the interview. Just said he's only ever seen me lose. Well, he ain't watched none of my other fights, has he? He's only watched the big ones. He watched me win the British title 5 times, win the Commonwealth a few times. So it's what it is, really. He's a bit disrespectful considering he hasn't done nothing. As an amateur, I know they say he was a rising star, but what did he do? He didn't win no majors or nothing. I never heard of him until I seen him have a few fights as a pro. I think his brother's Obed. I knew him from the pros, from the amateurs, sorry. That's more or less how I know him, nothing else more from what he's done as a boxer. You ask most people, they've never heard of him.
How long would you be willing to wait into the year, or how long would you be willing to allow your career to maintain its course until you maybe decide this is the time for me to hang up the gloves if the right fight isn't offered?
Yeah, there's not much longer, probably another year.
So talk to me then about your plans away from boxing. Now we're in your gym now, so you've got your gym set up, you mentioned your amateur boxers. Is this where you see your career after professional boxing going?
Yes, mate, definitely. Whether I train pros and amateurs or just amateurs, I don't know. Everyone's never denied the fact that I've got a good boxing brain, and I'm doing very well with my fighters now. And I've got over 20 plus amateurs. Like I said, I've got a professional manager's licence. I'm going to take in my second soon, so the options are there for me in am pro. But it's like I said, I still want to have a few more fights. I don't really want to think of that too much, but I know it's there to fall back on. At least I've got something to fall back on, whatever happens either way.
Is that something that was big for yourself, or maybe a little bit of a longer career for yourself, or maybe later, a bit more money to set yourself up a bit more financially and a bit more stability for your family? Is that something that is playing on your mind long term at all?
Of course it is, yeah. I've earned decent money in boxing. I ain't really done much with it, to be fair. I'm not going to tell you I've got this, but I ain't really done much with it. I've got a gym, I've got a bit for the family, but obviously the more the better. So I do want more fights. So I want more fights for me. Money was never an option for me, really. Big problem. I want to fight. I love fighting, so.
So if I had to say to you, you could name your next 3 opponents this year, who would you say they are, and how would you list them?
I'd like to fight Garton, just because he's got the British. And for some reason, on some rankings, they've got him above me, even though he's only beat Gary Corcoran. With no disrespect, but I'd beat him as well. But I don't mind fighting him. I'd love a fight with Khan one day. I think he's there for the taking. Obviously, he might look at me the same, but If you catch him, anything can happen with him. And I wouldn't mind a Josh Kelly fight just to see where I'm at myself.
Just to touch on Khan, you brought him up. Obviously, he's about to have his fight with Terence Crawford announced. The talks about whether Kell Brook fight will happen. What are your thoughts on the entire situation, and what would you like to see personally?
I'd like to see Crawford-Khan. I know I don't think it still holds what it did hold, but it's still a good fight, and everyone in Britain wants to see it. Well, I want to see it anyway. I always fancied Brook to beat him, and I still fancy Brook to beat him. But because of his last performance, Khan might think I beat him, but I don't. I think Khan's always been the one running from that fight. Don't think it was Brook.
So what do you make of Khan Crawford? Expecting an announcement within the next week or so from what I've seen?
Tricky for 4 rounds and then Crawford just take over and knock him out.
And to stick with welterweight division, Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia, what did you make of that? Mikey stepping up 2 weights?
Too big. I think Mikey Garcia is brilliant, and I've always said I fancy him to beat Lomachenko, but I just think Spence is too big for him.
And to touch on sticking with BCB as well, who are now managing you, Jason Wellborn flew out to fight Jarrett Hurd on the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder undercard. What did you make of Jason's performance for as long as it lasted? And when you see those opportunities, Jason's had to build himself up from nothing, and he's had a very tough few years up until he fought Morrison in Manchester. Do you take maybe a bit of inspiration from that in yourself? That maybe, I don't know if inspiration is the right word, but maybe you can look at it and think, well, if he can get a chance, why can't I?
A bit of hope, yeah. Yeah, you do, yeah. Because I beat Jason. I beat him in 2000, and I think it was about 14. I beat him in 7 rounds, and I beat him quite comfortably. And if you would have told me that night he was going to do this, I would have said, nah. But listen, he grafts hard. I get on really well with Jason. He's a top lad. And he grafts hard, he puts his head down. And it's well deserved, really. I'm really happy for him. But like I said, if you would have told me it was going to happen, I would have laughed and said no chance. Listen, he dug deep, beat Langford a couple of times. I would have said he wouldn't have beat before. When I beat him, I would have said, nah, he never beats Langford. And he beat him fair twice, so it's close, but he still beat him. And to do what he done with the Morrison, I wouldn't have said he beat Morrison, he absolutely hammered him. So you can't really say too much, just take your hat off for him, admire what he's done.
Would that be a fight at all that you'd have any interest in? I know you say you get on really well with him and you're both under the same managerial banner now, but would that be a fight if it was offered to you, you'd take?
Like I said, I'd take any fight, but I do like Jason. I'm with Errol. Like, if it made sense, it happens, then it obviously. But it's nothing I'd be knocking on the door for. I really do like Jason. His mum passed away a few years back, and I really got on with his mum as well after we boxed. So he's not a really fight I'd be knocking the door down to. I like Jason. He's a top lad. And I wish him the best in his career. Like I said, boxing's a business. I'd fight anyone, but I'd prefer not to.
And finally, just wanted to get your thoughts on the current heavyweight scene. We're waiting for news on who Anthony Joshua will face at Wembley on April 13th. Dillian White there seems to be the likely choice because of the Fury Wilder rematch talks, and Gerald Miller's apparently been thrown in there to fight AJ in America. What are your thoughts on how the whole heavyweight scene's unfolding at the minute?
It's going really well. You cannot moan about it. It's going good. I'm enjoying it, to be fair. So, yeah, I can't really moan because they are fighting. The people are fighting at last. But I want to see Joshua in that mix. At the moment, if you ask me the number one in the world is, I'd have to go with Fury. Even though I thought Wilder was going to beat him. But I'd have to go with Fury as he proved. Come back and beat Wilder, and he definitely beat him. He was a rob. You were there, so you can't say he beat him, and he beat him hands down as well. So, I've got something in my mind now thinking he'll get beat in the rematch just because of the power, but I hope he doesn't. I really want to see Fury Joshua fight.
I mean, how surprised were you to see just how good Tyson was and his return to world level? I've admitted it before, I never anticipated to see just how good Tyson was on that night. I don't think anybody expected to see that. So how surprised was you?
I wasn't surprised at how good he was. I was surprised that he still had it. That was more, because I knew he was good. I've seen him since he was a kid. I was on the amateur team with him. I knew he was a good fighter. I was shocked at how much better he got. I mean, how he still had it, but there. I didn't think he'd be there. I thought after watching these fights before, it's like he just coasted him on purpose just so they'd take the fight and everyone would write him off and then he'd win. He's mad.
So where does AJ go? Obviously, if a rematch happens between Wilder and Fury, he's been coming under some criticism recently.
Can't blame him for that.
What are your thoughts on that criticism?
It's unwarranted really. Maybe the fights could have happened before, but now they've got to have the rematch. So as long as he keeps himself busy, picks the next top 5, picks one of them, even Ortiz, just get himself a scrap, and then Once that's gone, he's got to do whatever it takes to make that fight, even if it means taking some money less, because he's a millionaire anyway. Money's not the problem. Legacy's the problem for him now. So if he never gets one of them fights, everyone's going to always say, well, he didn't get them two.
One rumour that I have seen will be that AJ might fight in America against Gerald Miller, and then Kell Brook might happen at Wembley. What are your thoughts if AJ decides to go and fight in America next instead of taking that Wembley date?
Yeah, can't take nothing against that. Gerald Miller's a good fighter. He's a tough fight as well. So him or White or Ortiz, you can't really moan with, as long as he's only doing them to keep himself ready for the big guys.
Dillian White as well in the mix. He's been a bit of a. You got to feel a bit sorry for Dillian because of how much he's had to work to get himself in a situation where.
He deserves a shot now.
Yeah, because AJ's obviously got 3 belts. He's waiting to fight Wilder to unify Wilder. Fury have to have a rematch. White's waiting in limbo effectively. What are your thoughts on Dillian? Where does he fit into the scene if he can't get either of those fights?
There's nothing for him unless he goes and fights Miller or Povetkin or Ortiz. But would the money be as good for them? I don't know. Just come off a great win with Chisora, but at the same time, it still shows the level he's at. Because listen, Chisora touching Fury and he's not touching Joshua. So then he was probably winning that fight when he got knocked out. In my eyes, I think he had it level, if I can remember right, but only because of the deductions. So if he's having tough fights with them, you've got to think, where does he go with Joshua now, Fury or Wilder? I just don't think he lives with them.
My final question, because you just mentioned that White Chisora fight. On the same night we saw Josh Warrington and Carl Frampton. Have you saw that fight? What did you make of it?
That's the one I watched. I watched the one the day after. Great fight. I was watching it because obviously my brother-in-law's Mark Efron, because I'm with Emma. So I watched it through that, and it was a great fight. Both fights were brilliant. I would have been gutted if I never got to watch the two.
What did you make of Mark and Liam? You know, what have you spoken to Mark since? What's his plans? What's he thought?
Tactics, really. I think he's got a young corner, so they've all got a lot to learn, I think. But just tactics, really. That Liam Williams and Dominic Ingle, listen, in my eyes, he's the best coach in the country, best trainer, without a doubt. When I boxed Brook, the things I listened to, I've listened for about it after, the things he was telling him, even though he's telling him and I'm there, it's still just great, gets in my head. He's just a fantastic trainer. And that was my only worry with that fight. I did fancy Mark, to be fair, but my only worry was Dominic's tactics, and they were great. Every time Mark changed to set himself, he was gone, or we'd jump on him. Fantastic tactics, really, so can't take nothing away from him. There's still a lot for Mark. He's a young kid. What is he, 26, 27? And he had a break from the sport for a couple of years as well. He doesn't have wars. Most of his fights have ended him chinning people. That's the most he's ever been hitting that fight. So I think there's a lot more to offer from Mark.
And Josh Warrington, Carl Frampton, fight of the year contender. What did you make of that? It completely caught me out, I suppose, because I never anticipated them to go like that. Because whenever I was watching it, it was maybe a minute and a half of each round. It was technical, it was touch and go, and then they'd just break out into war for the other minute and a half of each round.
I thought myself, Josh was going to try and pull it on him with busyness, and he was going to outbox him. But Joshua was banging. Never seen it before. I don't know what he's doing, who he's training with, but he looked good.
Well, Frankie Gavin, I appreciate you speaking to Boxing Social. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you as well, mate. Really appreciate it. Nice.